My suggestion here is to open the State Commission meeting. Our agenda is to confirm the composition of the prime and backup crew for the Soyuz TMA-09M. And let's hear the report on the readiness of the crew from the head of the Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center. We want to hear the proposed composition of the prime and backup crew of Soyuz TMA-09M. Dear members of the state mission, in order to perform the space flight of ISS 3637 program, we have the following crew members who have completed their training. Prime crew: Fedor Nikolaevich Yurchikin, the Soyuz commander, ISS 36 flight engineer and 37 commander; Luka Parmitano, Soyuz and station flight engineer; and Karen Nyberg, flight engineer 2 of Soyuz and station flight engineer. Backup crew: Michael Turin, Soyuz commander, station flight engineer; Richard Mastrakio, Soyuz flight engineer and station flight engineer; and Koichi Wakata, FE2 for Soyuz and station flight engineer. Dear colleagues, I would like to give the floor to the director of the ISS manned program, Michael Safradini.
First to the backup crew, Mikhail, Rick, Koichi, thank you guys for working so hard to be ready to step in if necessary. I'm glad it's not necessary, but come back in about 6 months, we'll see what we can do. And to the prime crew, Fyodor, Luka, Karen, it's good to see you guys here this afternoon. You've been training hard, you're ready to go. We have an amazingly complex mission for you guys during your period on orbit. We have the normal logistics traffic plus 5 or 6 EVAs, depending on how things work out, and a brand new logistics vehicle in the Cygnus that should show up while you're there. And with all that, you still have to squeeze in the time for utilization and research, since that's what it's all about. So I'm looking forward to having you on orbit. Good luck and Godspeed.
Thank you. I would like to give the floor to the General Director of European Space Agency, Jean-Jacques Jourdan.
Thank you. So I am speaking not only as the Director General of ESA, but also on behalf of my colleagues of the Italian Space Agency, because this flight is under an agreement between the Italian Space Agency and NASA. So I would like to congratulate the crew, Fyodor, Karen, and Luka, to have successfully passed all the exams to go to space after a long training. But your training is over now. The real thing will start. So among all the tasks that you will have to do during your stay in the space station, I would like that you take a special care to the ATV-4 Albert Einstein, which will be launched next week. So I would like to thank all the partners of the space station, which makes this flight possible, and in particular, obviously, our Russian partner, Roscosmos and Russian industry, to make the overall infrastructure ready for launch and further operations. So the most important asset of the International Space Station is certainly the partnership, because I am sure that the partnership will last much longer than hardware. So now, bon voyage to the crew, and see you soon.
With great pleasure, I would like to give floor to the commander of the prime crew, Yurchikin Fedor Nikolaevich. Dear friends, I will be brief. The crew is ready. And the readiness of the crew is only thanks to the team that was working with us. And on behalf of the whole crew, I would like to thank everyone for this honor to be able to dock in 4 orbits. We absolutely understand our responsibility and the seriousness of the task, and we will do everything possible to perform it. I would like to give floor to Luka Parmitano, flight engineer. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I have a couple of words only. Thank you very much.
Слово предоставляется бортинженеру 2.
Flight Engineer 2, Karen Nyberg. Hello, everyone. I would like to say thank you to everyone for your support. I'm ready to launch. And we will do everything great in space. Thank you. Commander of the backup crew, Mikhail Turin. Dear colleagues, thank you very much, everyone, for kind words, for your sincere wishes, for your absolute great support. Thank you.
Слово предоставляется бортинженеру дублирующего экипажа.
Flight engineer of backup crew, Richard Mastrakio. Thank you very much once again. I would like to say special thank you to our instructors and the State Commission. But today is the day of the prime crew Fyodor, Luca, Karen. Good luck and bon voyage. Hello. I would like to thank everyone for your support who made this flight possible. We have a great prime crew today that are very cool cosmonauts and astronauts, and I'm sure that they will have a very successful launch. I want to wish you a successful flight and soft landing. Dear colleagues, this completes the meeting of the State Commission. Thank you, everyone. Dear friends, let us start our traditional Q&A. A half an hour ago, the State Commission meeting was completed and confirmed the composition of ISS 3637, Prime Crew, Soyuz Commander, ISS 36 Flight Engineer, and ISS 37 Commander, Fyodor Nikolaevich Yurchikin, Roscosmos Cosmonaut, Russia. Soyuz and Station Flight Engineer, ESA astronaut, Luca Parmitano. Soyuz Flight Engineer and Station Flight Engineer, Karen Nyberg, NASA astronaut, United States. The backup crew composition is as follows. Soyuz Commander, Station Flight Engineer, Mikhail Turin, Roscosmos, Russia. Soyuz Flight Engineer, Station Flight Engineer, Koichi Wakata, JAXA astronaut, Japan. And Soyuz and Station Flight Engineer, Richard Mastrakio, United States, NASA. Dear friends, before we will start asking questions, please make sure that you ask questions in English and Russian.
We have two languages here, only English and Russian.
First question, please. Roscosmos TV studio. I have a question for the prime crew. It is well known that your flight will not take 2 days, it will take only 6 hours or 4 orbits. And I know that the crew, your crew, insisted on this rendezvous scheme. So how did that affect your training flow? I would say that this rendezvous scheme is already a traditional one because Pavel Vinogradov proved this scheme as a successful one. And we also understood that we had have some chances to fly to the station and dock only in 4 orbits. However, we understood that maybe our management would like to take a pause, so to say. So we decided to take our own initiative, and we went to our management and we voiced our desire to fly and dock in 4 orbits. And only after 3 to 4 weeks after Pavel Vinogradov proved that this scheme is a successful one, our initiative was supported, and the management actually approved this scheme for our docking. This did not affect our training flow anyhow. However, we polished a couple of moments with our instructors. Thank you. Next question.
Rob Navius, NASA Television. 2 questions for Karen. Karen, after training for several years now for this flight, you're finally on the eve of launch. How do you maintain the right frame of mind and demeanor, knowing you're about to leave the planet and your family for a half year?
It's very interesting, actually, because it seems as though time just kind of goes by and we're just going through the flow of what we're doing, and it's hard to really imagine that tomorrow we will be launching into space. I felt the same thing with my shuttle flight. It just kind of went day by day, and the next thing you know, I was in orbit, and then the next thing you know, after that, I was back on the ground. This, of course, is very different since I'll be gone for 6 months, but I think at this point, we're just very focused on what we're doing and dealing with it as we go, and I think it's going to be November before you know it, and we'll be back on Earth.
And Karen, your mission really looks like a handbook of human spaceflight. Every resupply vehicle known, the debut of a new commercial cargo craft, up to a half dozen spacewalks by your crewmates, and a wealth of scientific research. How will you pace yourself on this a marathon flight compared to your sprint on the shuttle several years ago?
I think that's one of the keys, is that we pace ourselves. We have to realize that we will be working there for a long time, and we have to stay rested. I think it's important that we understand when the day is done, we need to stop our work and rest and be prepared for an unknown. You never know when there's going to be something unknown that comes up, like an extra EVA or some type of an alarm that we need to take care of, so we need to be well rested for that. So I think that is the key. It is going to be a very busy mission, but I think we all need to understand that we need to pace ourselves. This is more of a marathon and not the sprint of the shuttle that we were used to previously.
Thank you very much. Next question, please.
Dominique Dutin, ISA TV. On behalf of the European media who could not make it here, and for Luca, if you can also translate afterwards in Italian, please. So, since you've been appointed astronaut, you seem always happy, always smiling. You've got a secret. Could you tell us why? What is it?
Вопрос от представителей ЕКО. Люка, с того момента, как ты был выбран в отряд космонавтов, ты всегда улыбаешься и сияешь. Как тебе удается оставаться таким жизнерадостным человеком?
So I will answer first in English, and then I'll say the same thing in Italian for the ISA TV. It's very simple, and it just goes with what I always tell people that ask me, how did you become an astronaut? What does it take to become an astronaut? And I always say, well, if you do what you love and you love what you do, then everything will happen. And I just happen to be doing exactly what I love to do, and I love what I'm doing, and I would rather be nowhere else right now. Even though I'm behind this class, I'm really happy to be here, because it's just the next step until I can fly up and realize a dream that's been with me since I can remember. So that's how I can be really happy.
Okay, another one. You apart from you from Italy or Europe, what are you bringing up there? What type of thing, element?
It's well known that we don't have a lot of space in our spacecraft. It's kind of silly that we don't have space in space, but we're only allowed about 1.5 kilograms of personal items with us, and it may seem a lot, but in the end, it's really not. And it seems that all the space got filled up very, very quickly. But I was able to put some souvenirs for my friends and families. I don't collect anything, so I plan to give as a gift everything that I take up with me. And the most personal things that I'm taking are my wedding band and my wife's, so they're always with me. Pictures of my family, my daughters. And recently I got 2 small charms with my daughter's handprints and their names, and I plan to wear those next to my heart the whole time.
Thank you. Next question. Hello, Yuzhny Space Center. First of all, I would like to wish you a successful flight and nominal mission. On May 25th, we were celebrating the last school day of this year. So, what would you like to wish school children who are graduating this year? Well, my last flight was 3 years ago, and my daughter was graduating 3 years ago. That is why she could not be here at the Baikonur Cosmodrome. I would like to wish these young people good luck, which is very important in life. Second, I would like to wish them to set really big goals. Don't want them to be afraid of these goals. And please remember that your life is in your hands. A lot in this life depends on the choice and the choices that you make. The bolder the choice, the better your life begins. The better your life is. Next question, please.
My name is Jonas Berghelm. I'm directing a film which name is Mother's Wish. So this goes to Karen. And I would like to know that as a mother, what is your biggest challenge during this mission?
Вопрос Карен Найберг заключается в следующем. Что вы считаете самым сложным на орбите, будучи матерью?
I think, of course, that's a problem for all of us. All of us have children, and all of us, our children are very important to us. And so I think it's hard for anybody that has to leave their family for a long time. And we have a lot of people that do that, military people who leave their families for a long time. And I think it's just a challenge just to know, my son is 3 and he's going to do a lot of growing in 6 months. But I'm going to see a lot of video of him, and I think we'll be very well connected, and he'll be home with his daddy. So I think, but like I said, it's a challenge that all of us have to deal with. Luca has young daughters, and Peter has daughters, and so it's something that we can support each other, knowing that we have families at home that we all miss.
I would like to add a couple of words. It's a very complicated situation when cosmonauts fly for such a long period of time. When I was preparing for my first flight, the little Lena, my daughter Lena, was very small. She was under 1, and my whole family was seeing me off. And later, when my daughter was asked, "Where is your father?" she was pointing at the TV, and she was calling me some unknown uncle.
Only 1 year old when I got to space, and when I returned, and then she was asked the question, "Where's your daddy?" She was pointing at the TV set.
One question more. Shall you take any special items to this mission that reminds your son?
А вы возьмете с собой какие-то специальные вещи, которые будут напоминать вам о вашем сыне?
I did pack a couple little toys that he likes, and pictures are the main item. I'll have pictures of him in my little sleeping station that I can see every night.
Next question, please.
Yes, hi, thank you. This is Andrew Kramer with the New York Times. I also have a question for Karen on the same topic. I've seen some of your discussions about leaving your son. How does he understand where you're going, and what advice would you offer to women who, for their work, have to separate from their children? How to make it a positive experience?
Вашему сыну всего 3 года, и как он, по-вашему, отнесется к столь длительному отсутствию мамы?
It's really hard to know exactly what a child understands at that age. Sometimes he says things that make you feel as though he understands more than you would expect, and sometimes you're reminded that he's only 3.
Да, дети в таком возрасте иногда говорят, произносят какие-то вещи, и ты думаешь, что они, да, понимают, что ты от них хочешь. Но на самом деле данный возраст еще нельзя расценивать как какой-то осознанный.
he knows I'm going to the space station, and he knows what that is when he sees a picture of it, and he knows that there is no gravity there and things will float. And that might be the simplest, the level he understands it at, but I think it'll be very fun for him to see video of me and communicate with me when he sees me in that environment.
Все, прошу следующего.
Okay, next question.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kunde Beuler from the European Space Agency. We have come together here with 15 young people to witness for us this very important moment that we have the first ESA astronaut from our own generation being launched. So we're very excited to be here. Mr. Parmitano, Luca, may I ask you, what is your dominant feeling at this moment? Thank you.
Well, first of all, welcome to Baikonur. Thank you for coming. I was wondering what all these ESA Apollo shirts were. That's fantastic. Welcome, and thank you for calling me a young astronaut of your generation. I don't get to hear that very often, but that is probably the hardest question to answer, as a matter of fact. It's just it's a mixed emotion. There's certainly excitement. I am very excited. I mean, in less than 24 hours, I will be waking up, and then after that, I will be strapping now into my seat to blast off into space. That doesn't happen every day, and for me, it's the first time. So I'm certainly excited, but at the same time, I'm focused because I feel that the importance of performing well for all those people that have been working with me through all the years of training to get me to this point. And I feel the responsibility of doing the job correctly for all those that expect results during the 6 months that I'm on the station. Those things are not, they're not negative feelings, quite the opposite. It's a challenge, and it's very motivating for me. All these feelings get into me, and maybe you see this calm demeanor. And I feel that way. There is a book that I read a couple of years ago. It's by an Italian author. His name is Veronesi, and he wrote a book called A Calm Chaos. And I think that's a very cool description of what I feel right now. It's very chaotic, all these things going through my head, but I feel calm because the training does that to you. You feel confident. You know that you can do the job. You've been trained, and all these people have confidence in you. So that I just want to make sure that confidence is resting in the right place and in the right hands. Thank you for the question. Thank you for coming again.
Спасибо, прошу следующий.
Thank you very much. Next question.
Mauricio Segovia from Russia Today Television. My question is actually for the main crew, for the three of you. I believe that Baikonur is a special place for the three of you, just for obvious reasons, because this is the place where you're launching from. But from an astronaut's point of view or a cosmonaut's point of view, what makes Baikonur such a unique place on Earth?
Можно всячески пересматривать прошлое.
You can review your past experiences, you can review history and have different opinions, but two dates are very important in the history of Baikonur. The launch of the first satellite on October 4th, 1957, but the second date that is even more important for us is April 12th, 1961, the first flight of a human being to space. So these two dates are the milestones in the history of Baikonur. This is what I feel at the Baikonur Cosmodrome, and that is why it's so important to launch from the Gagarin launch pad.
My answer is maybe a little more personal. What makes us any place special is what memories are attached to it. And I think that what makes this place special for me is that there are only positive memories related to this place. 6 months ago, I was here in the middle of winter as the backup of Expedition 34. And even though I remember really well that I was basically frozen, and I'm Italian from southern Italy, from Sicily. I freeze when the temperature goes below 10 degrees above zero. even or 30, as Fyodor says. But even though it was really cold, the atmosphere was so festive, and it was such a great pleasure working with the team here, and my crewmates and the main crew, and being part of such an incredible experience. Even then, the experience was just magical and incredible good memories. And now you can imagine yourself how positive an experience and what amazing memories I will have of the past 2 weeks here in Baikonur.
Well, Baikonur is certainly a place that is rich in history, though it is recent history, but it's also very rich in tradition. And I think it's very neat to see. You feel that in everybody. You see that everywhere here, and I'm honored to be a part of that tradition and history.
And having said that, what is that you're looking forward the most? Once you get into space, of course.
What are we looking forward to the most in space? Actually, I'm looking forward the most to living there rather than having the quick shuttle flight. And a shuttle flight is go, go, go from the second you launch. I'm looking forward to having a time on the weekends for a little reflection and doing some own personal things, and just kind of stamping the memory of the experience in my brain.
Спасибо, прошу.
Thank you.
Здравствуйте, у меня вопрос такой.
Hello, I have the following question.
Вам страшно лететь в космос?
Are you scared of flying to space?
Нам страшно интересно лететь.
No, we are very excited to fly to space.
Понятно. Так,
Okay, I see.
у кого еще есть вопросы?
Any other questions for the crews?
Вот,
Sergey Pavlovich,
туда
please give the mic. Yes, come closer here.
Добрый день. РИА Новости.
Hello, RIA Novosti.
В первую очередь хочу поздравить.
First, I would like to congratulate everyone with the upcoming mission and wish you good luck.
Два вопроса есть.
I have two questions for you. The first question is for Luca.
Во время вашей экспедиции
During your mission, a lot of experiments are planned, and you'll be running a lot of experiments. Which experiments are more interesting for you, and what will be your major focus, medical experiments or any other experiments? And the second question is for Fedor. During your flight, it is planned to perform a few EVAs on the Russian segment. How many EVAs in total will be performed? When will the first EVA take place? And which major task will be performed during that first EVA? Will you answer in English? I'll try to answer a question in Russian. If it doesn't work, I will try to answer it in English. It's very difficult to explain what we are going to do in the 3 minutes allocated for the answer. There are more than 150 experiments currently being run on board the station. However, there are some experiments that you start as an expedition, and I think they are very interesting. I'm an Italian astronaut, and I will be performing Italian experiments. And one of the experiment is called Green Air. I think it's an interesting experiment. We are trying to learn how combustion of biological fuel is going to happen in space. It's very important from a scientific standpoint because we can use the results right away on Earth. We are trying to find what kind of fuel will work best. What fuel has best combustion properties without having ecological footprint? And then another experiment is when we are using ultrasound to perform this experiment in order to forecast some problems with your back in space.
MRI, как по-русски, magnetic resonance.
We're using MRI to do it on Earth, but this hardware is really huge and it's very difficult to use them, and it's not very cost-effective. So we're striving to use more simple equipment. So these experiments are very important. And the third experiment that is called Brocade. When running this experiment, we will try to see how to improve, or rather lessen calcium losses from bones of astronauts and cosmonauts. As you know, this process is very dangerous for health, and we will try to learn how to minimize that loss. Of course, we will be able to use the results of this experiment on Earth. As you know, osteoporosis is one of the major threats to human health all over the world, and I hope we will try to save people's lives who are suffering from this disease without using a lot of medication. Thank you. As of today, the program, EVA program on the Russian segment includes 4 EVAs. I'm participating in 3 EVAs scheduled. The first EVA will include troubleshooting of the thermal control unit. I hope we will be able to perform a couple of experiments outside the station. The other 2 experiments will be mostly focused on routing cables for the new Russian module, MLM, and a couple of other experiments on the outside of the station. Unfortunately, I won't be able to participate in the 4th EVA that is scheduled at the very end of the expedition. However, by that EVA, we will see our backup crew on orbit already. We will see each other for a very short period of time, 4 days only. We will be together in space. Thank you. So when will be your first EVA? The first EVA is scheduled for mid-June. Thank you. Next question.
Rob Navius again with NASA Television. I can't let this moment get away without a question about the Olympic torch. We have the relay team right in front of us here with Rick, Mikhail, and Koichi bringing it up in November and handing it off to, somewhat reluctantly, as you can see, to Luka, Fyodor, and Karen to bring it home a few days later. Perhaps for Karen or Rick, can you tell us what that symbolizes and what it symbolizes in relation to the International Space Station and what it represents for the unification of nations in orbit?
Of course, the International Space Station is a great achievement and a great accomplishment by many countries around the world. In my opinion, maybe one of the greatest accomplishments this world has ever seen.
Конечно, МКС — это великое достижение всех наций, великое достижение наций всего мира объединенных.
And the Olympics, I think, represent that exact idea. Many countries getting together to compete in peaceful times and show how we can get along on this planet. So I think it's a great idea for us to bring up the Olympic torch and represent all the countries on Earth that are participating in the Olympics. And it's going to be very interesting. We're going to carry up the torch, and we're going to have the expedition, Oleg, Sergei, and Mike Hopkins. We're going to hand it off to them. They'll then hand it off to Fyodor, Luka, and Karen, who will return it to Earth. So we'll have our own relay going around the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, any other questions? Yes, Sergey Pavlovich, I can see one more question here. Hello, cosmonauts and astronauts. First, of course, I would like to wish you a successful flight and completion of the program. Maybe it's a layman question that I'm going to ask, but I'm really interested in what's going on in space right now. If we're looking at the cosmonautics development and history, we will see that professional life of cosmonauts some time ago, some 20 years ago, was really short, like professional athletes' life. So right now we see an absolutely different trend. Right now the professional life of a cosmonaut and astronaut is really long. So why is it so?
Вы знаете, среди первых космонавтов трудно найти.
You know, it's really hard to find
Сейчас сплошь и рядом в космосе.
an example when first cosmonauts used eyeglasses. But this question is not for us probably, but for the medical personnel.
Может быть, с сегодняшнего дня эксперименты были простые, казались простыми.
Maybe if we look back 20 years ago, we will see that the experiments then were really simple. So our medical community has more practice, has more statistics, and they can use that information to forecast the behavior of our bodies in some time in space. But if you look a couple of decades and even centuries ago, you will see that the average life of a human being was really short. So I think this is a very logical trend that right now we're living professionally much more longer. So the retirement age is going to be raised in Russia soon. For example, Pavel Vinogradov is going to celebrate his 60th anniversary in space in a couple of months. We have a brilliant example of John Glenn.
Second flight. 78, да. Он когда полетел.
So when he flew to board the station, he was 78 and 80 years old. Michael and I are very young compared to him. Luca is a teenager. So I think we're looking forward to more flights in future. Thank you for your question. Dear friends, thank you very much for good, interesting questions. So first, let's applaud to our crew and let's thank our crew for their answers. Fedor, I would like to take a picture of you. I can see a lot of children here. It's really bad that they didn't have a chance to ask the questions. Dorothea Sisoeva, are you here? No, she's not here. Too bad. I had a gift for you, for her. So prime and backup crew. Switch off the red light on somebody's camera. Thank you. And prime crew, photo only. Thank you very much, backup crew.
Отлично, спасибо.
Great, thank you.
Спасибо.
Thank you. Dear friends, this completes our press conference. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye.